What's up, y'all? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And wanted to talk about the level 90 cap that is now in a Marvel Strike Force. We saw it in the release notes yesterday. And of course, as you log into the game, you can now see your ticker, right? Or your points accumulation, your experience points, as we sort of try to climb here to level 90. But and the question always is, all right, who do we bring to level 90 first? Who do we first bring to level 86 and eventually bring up to level 90, right? So we're going to be talking about that here in this video today. Talk about the character options that I would definitely recommend that you probably push towards first in regards to bringing them up to level 90. A few things I want to mention first, though, before we even dive directly into the character specifics, is that there is a data mine that went out yesterday. And initially, when we saw this data mine, it said Doom 2.3, and then we saw these difficulties that were listed below it. Now this data mine is reading Doom 3. So it looks like, along with the level 90 cap, may be a new Doom raid that's coming to Marvel Strike Force. Now, not entirely sure when that would happen. Not sure what that really means. But as you can see here, Doom 3 difficulty 1 looks like there's 4 difficulties here. So level difficulty 1, ISO level 7. So I'm assuming that that's ISO blue level 2. Difficulty 2 is ISO blue level 3. Difficulty 3 is ISO blue level 4. Not quite sure what difficulty 8 ISO level 9 would be, unless they're probably going to be introducing ISO blue level 5 also soon as well. But this is definitely something to consider and to think about in regards to your level 90, because maybe Doom 3 is around the corner. But I'm going to talk about it in the context of where the game is right now, right? Like, we're currently doing Doom difficulty 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 right now. So I'm going to talk about it in context of that and in regards to where the arena is. And I'm sorry, guys, my son's in the background crying here, so just in case you hear some loud noises. And I also want to say this, like, some of this is probably going to be roster dependent, right? Depending on what content you're pushing for, whether it's arena, whether it's raids. Maybe you're more of a war alliance than you are a raid alliance, right? Some of it is going to be roster dependent in regards to who you bring up as well. But that Doom 3 thing, definitely something to think about. But the way that I'm kind of leaning towards in regards to who to bring up to level 90 first, I'm leaning primarily towards arena options. And then I'm going to talk about raid options, but specific raid options, because I don't think that every single raid team or raid character needs to go to level 90 if you're doing the Doom raids as they are right now. So let's talk about that. In terms of arena, I'm going to talk about a team that I use a lot in arena right now. And what I'm kind of starting to see right now in the arena shards as it is right now today. And this is a team that I use quite often, probably more, at least 3 times a day, is Icarus, Cersei, Icarus, Emma, Omega Red, and Morgan. And I want to talk about those characters specifically because I do think that that's probably where you're going to want to lean towards your level 90 first characters. One character that's not here right now that I also will probably consider is Agatha, because there are some moments too where I do hybrid and use Agatha. I know some players are using Kestrel, but we'll talk about Kestrel a little bit later for some other content, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. But I do think that in terms of arena, I think Morgan definitely is a standout character, right? I think it's so important, not even just levels, I think red stars, right? Because now 6 red stars and 7 red stars are available for Morgan Le Fay. So all the more now it's going to be important for you to be able to get those higher levels on her, because obviously that is going to contribute to her focus and to contribute to her resistance. And she already has massive resistance already to being able to land those ability blocks. So you're going to have to keep pace with where other players are going to be building up their Morgans. So you're going to definitely want to bring up your Morgan Le Fay as well and start putting some of those higher levels on. I think probably she's the first character, and I'm definitely going to put my higher levels on. So yeah, Morgan definitely is probably one of your characters to think about. I think another character to think about here too, that I've been using a lot recently and I'm finding them to be very impactful, is Omega Red. And this is a character that I'm going to be bringing up to level 85 and gear tier 16 in this patch, because I am right on the cusp of being able to start my legendary run for Dark Dimension 5. And yes, he is incredibly important to my arena team right now. Like I said, I use him 3 times a day. He is who I'm using to go up against these these hybrid teams or these full Darkhold teams right now in Arena, where I'm using him to ability block Doctor Strange, or I'm using him to ability block sometimes Agatha, because I don't want Agatha to then stun my Icarus and my Cersei, right? So I am finding that he's incredibly valuable to my roster right now, incredibly valuable for my Arena Shard, and to be able to beat these full Darkhold teams and also beat some of these hybrid Darkhold teams as well. Not quite sure how he works against Dormammu. I don't think that that's a thing yet, or maybe it is, I'm just not aware of it, but I'm finding him to be incredibly important, and I know that other players are using Omega Red as well. I know I saw Dorky Dad with a video that talked about Omega Red, and I've seen other players using it as well, so I do know that Omega Red is an incredibly important character right now, and probably because of the Arena, you're also going to get a double fold being able to use him and also raids as well for your mutant nodes. I think Omega Red definitely is a character to consider. I do think too that potentially one of the Eternals, I think primarily maybe Icarus is probably a character to think about. With some of these hybrid teams, I've realized that going into these matchups, if I'm able to do my first attack with Icarus and I'm able to delete their Emma by doing that, and of course I'm being able to get that follow-up attack on that secondary attack from Icarus as well whenever he does that, right? So maybe for the sheer just raw damage perspective of it, I definitely would probably consider Icarus as well. But I think Morgan, Omega Red, and probably Agatha, because there are some of these matchups where Agatha is incredibly clutch to the matchup too. So maybe those are the first three characters I'll consider: Morgan, Omega Red, Agatha, specifically for Arena, because Arena is important. And then maybe I'll consider switching over to raids, or like I said, consider maybe Icarus as a character as well. Emma, not quite sure that you're going to need it yet. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later on. But in terms of raids, right, I do think that there's certain specific characters in raids that I would definitely target for your first, to push to level 90, and eventually, as you can sort of continue. Obviously, you're gonna get to level 86 first. Yes, there's definitely some raid characters, good God, and I should say that you want to consider first. I think ones that I would not consider right now, as of where the game stands, is Web Warriors. They're fine, don't need it. They're doing well where they're at right now. Your skill team, so for instance, like your Secret Avengers specifically, Kestrel, we definitely will want to consider. But for your other characters, Shang-Chi, your Secret Avengers, those guys are fine. Zemo, fine. I think you're okay there. I don't think you need to do anything. Your Mystic team, New Warriors, and also your Eternals. Yes, maybe we just talked a little bit about Icarus, but I don't think that you need to invest there because of where the game is right now. You are fine doing the content as is. So I don't think that you need to try to force your way to get them to level 90. Who I do think that you need to consider is your mutant team. Specifically, primarily, want to talk about Jubilee and talk about Beast and Bishop. As I think about this, maybe not so much Bishop per se, probably Jubilee and Beast, right? Because if you lose any of these two characters, it's a force quit, right? Like, you lose Beast, you lose Jubilee, force quit, go back into the game. Like, that's literally what it is right now when it comes to those two characters. So personally, for me, I would even say Bishop may not even be on this list as a primary character to go to level 90. I think Jubilee and Beast definitely are, because Beast is your healing, Beast is given ability energy, Beast is given buffs. Like, if you lose him, you're definitely losing so much on that team. Jubilee is the assist, she's the health. Like, you definitely need her there. You can lose Bishop in a matchup and still be able to win that matchup. It will be a slog, but you can lose him and still win better than you would if you lost any of these other two characters. So I would think first Beast and Jubilee probably primary, and then Bishop maybe as a consideration as a secondary character. Also considering too that with Rogue and Gambit now officially in the, well, not fully yet, but will be officially in the game together as a tandem, for those boss nodes, Rogue and Gambit may still work. So that's the reason why I kind of went away from the idea of maybe Iceman and Kitty Pryde, because I think that at level 85 that they're going to be okay to be able to get through some of it. You just don't want to bring them up to level 90 right now. And then maybe you can kind of sustain until you get to that boss node if you bring up Beast and bring up Jubilee and maybe Bishop. Once you do get to that boss node, maybe you can swap in Rogue and Gambit where you can get those ability blocks and things like that for your boss node. And then let's talk about another problematic raid node, right? Is your tech node. So like, what are your options there when it comes to your tech team? Who should you definitely invest into and bring up to level 85? This one's a tough one for me because I think everybody really, right? Because the tech node, you don't really have a full team. It's more about a bunch of characters that you're bringing together. But for your tech nodes, yeah, I think Kestrel is a no-brainer for me. I think you definitely want that raw damage, those pings. I think that those are important. So I definitely would say Kestrel is a good option to bring in as well. You definitely want to bring up Shuri because you want to keep her alive. Even though she's better now at staying alive, I think that I still think she's a good consideration as an option there. Doom, I'm concerned that Doom may do too much damage, but for 2.3, maybe you do need it, right? So I think 2.3 is very, 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 very challenging. So yeah, probably, never mind. It's there what I said. Yeah, all your tech raid characters, at least your top 4, Lady Deathstrike, Dr. Doom, Kestrel, Shuri, definitely are options that you definitely want to bring up to level 90. And then your 5th secondary options like T'Challa, Kate Bishop. I like using Kate Bishop in the 2nd node. I like to use her ult to blind Corvus on that 2nd wave. So I find that to be incredibly important and helpful. So therefore I do like to use her because obviously I built her up for Scourge. So that definitely does help out there. Ghost and Nebula, sometimes I use in that 1st node. I interchange those 2 characters, Ghost or Nebula, depending on how I feel that day. I wouldn't bring those characters up to level 90, wouldn't bring up Kate Bishop, right? But T'Challa, I think because of his damage output, also because you can get a little bit more on his focus, I definitely would also bring up T'Challa to be able to more successfully land the blinds, more successfully be able to do more damage. I would definitely consider T'Challa as well as probably one of those 5th options that you bring up to level 85. And maybe that's enough where you don't need to use any secondary options for all 3 of the nodes that you use. So those are my thoughts in regards to sort of who I would prioritize first. I definitely do think those arena options that I mentioned, Omega Red, Agatha, Morgan, Cersei, Icarus are more Icarus for the damage, are pretty good. Maybe Icarus, maybe Cersei just to survive. I think for your mutant raids, Jubilee, Beast for sure, maybe Bishop. And then for tech, I think pretty much basically everybody except for your 5th options, which are your Kate Bishop, your Ghost could be your Nebula, whoever it is that you use. Some people also do use Minerva. I definitely would not bring those characters up, but I would bring the other tech characters because they are definitely so important for your team. So those are my thoughts, guys. As we get more information about Doom 3, my assessment on this could change, right? We could say bring up everybody, right? We'll have to see what the Doom 3 raids look like first. Whether or not level 90 is a requirement for those Doom 3 raids, we are going to have to find that information out as well. So stay tuned, guys. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Liking the videos definitely does help out the YouTube algorithm. Leave in the comments if you have any questions about anything. Always like to interact with you guys. And until next time, guys, hit the notification bell also so that you know when the videos do go live. And until next time, guys, y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. Bye.